Hey everyone. I thought after our card pull this morning about truth be told, it got me thinking about, we talked about the importance of, being honest with yourself, right? That being kind of like the main place where all the other truth can come from, right? And it just kind of struck me after that, and just in that frame of mind of like, okay, so what's really going on inside and what is really important to me about this situation? And sometimes it takes some courage, right? It takes some courage to see things truthfully without our slants, right? And I got thinking about why that was. Why is there this fear, right, that I have to like overcome with this courage to like look at things authentically? And for me, it was the first thing that kind of came to mind. The main thing that came to mind was this idea of like not being okay, right, with any imperfections or any like not doing things like for myself, not doing things maybe the right way, right? And some fear around that for whatever reasons, right? I'm sure there's from my childhood, lots of good reasons for that, right? And what society tells us, and all these things that we've taken in, how we've internalized that of like, it has to be a certain way. It should be a certain way, right? We should be doing things a certain way, whatever that is, right? And so I had this kind of revelatory moment around, I need to be okay with, if I'm going to be honest and true with what I find, right? And what is there, my imperfections, right? Can I accept, because that came up in our part of our card discussion earlier about kind of surrendering to what is there, right? Can I accept what is there? And then from that honest place of what is there, whether it's, whatever imperfections I'm perceiving, can I move from that honest place of what's there and accept what's there and move forward with that? So I thought I'd like to really focus a practice once I had that little bit of insight around releasing that need, and this affects some of us more than others, to be perfect, to always get it right, whatever that means, right? So I thought I'd come up, work through a little practice today. First of all, that's good for good for our mind and good for our body all around, but just with that intention, that focus around releasing the need to be perfect in every aspect of our practice, right? Like, can we just be with how it is in the moment and accept that and get the value from whatever that is, right? So to start today's practice, you're absolutely welcome to stay in the seated cross-legged position. I think for myself, I'm going to start in child's pose today, which is a little bit different. So to get into child's, if you're going to choose to do that with me, we're going to come into that tabletop position to start. So hands are under the shoulders, knees are under the hips. And then we're just going to start with bringing the big toes together. Let's bring the knees nice and wide. Okay. And take a deep breath in. And then exhale, hips back onto heels. Okay. And then up to you. We're going to be here for a few minutes. So we might want to just kind of sink into our position, like let the arms and elbows just fall. You can also bring the arms down at your sides. Okay. You can bring your cheek down to the mat, or you can bring your forehead down to the mat, whatever feels most supportive. But whatever you're doing, you want to get nice and comfortable. So you might, for some of us, we might like a cushion under our seat between the heels and your bottom, just for a little more support as well. If that feels like something you'd like to do, feel free to set yourself up for that. And once we get into the shape of our child's pose, or if you're in the seated cross-legged position, that's great too. We're going to slowly close your eyes if you have not already done so. And allow yourself just to sink into this shape. And we're going to come to some level of stillness. And it's okay if we aren't perfectly still, right? We're just going to commit to come to as much stillness as we can. And we're going to take a deep breath, maybe the deepest breath you've taken all day, in your nose. And then on the exhale, letting it out your mouth. And just letting any leftover tension in your body just melt and release. Let's try that again. Deep breath in the nose. Hold for just a moment this time. And then exhale out the mouth. Let it all go. And sinking into your regular breath. But keeping your attention on your breath. And just noticing what the inhales and what the exhales, how they feel in your body. Not judging the quality of your breath, just noticing what's there. So showing ourselves a little compassion and a little care. With every exhale, just letting go of any judgment. You might be holding on to. Any self-judgment, let that go. Deep breath. Exhale, let it go. And feeling your body in the shape. Just noticing where you are in space, where you feel sensation in your body. Just allowing it to be. So noticing any points of contact you're making on the mat. And taking a scan of your body, starting at your feet. Moving up your lower body, up to your belly, through your hips and your belly. If there's any sensation, just noticing, let it be there. You're just observing. Good or bad, you're just observing. No judgment. And moving now up through your chest and your shoulders and your arms and hands. Again, you're just observing what's there. Moving up now through your neck and jaw. If there's any tension, just take a deep breath. See if you can soften. Let it go. And taking a moment now to set an intention for your practice. One of accepting yourself with all of your imperfections. Allowing all of you to be. So no matter what pose we're in today, it will be enough. So allowing you to finish setting that intention for yourself. And when you're ready, if you're in the child's pose, you can slowly bring a little movement into your fingers and toes. And slowly bringing your hands under your shoulders. You can start to bring your torso up. Now, if you're in the seated position, you can just join us because we're all going to meet in tabletop. Okay. So in our tabletop, making sure the knees now are under the hips, hands are under the shoulders. Invite you to tuck the toes. So it's a little cold where I am today, so I'm having my socks on right now. So either with socks or without, having the toes tucked, deep breath in And then exhale, let's bring the hips back towards the heels. So just a gentle arch of the feet. So totally an option here to walk the hands back towards the knees and come up to just intensify that stretch a little bit. That's totally up to you. Find your breath. And if you're like me and you came up and it feels like a bit much, you can always come back down. Nice. And then we're going to walk our hands forward under the hips back into our tabletop. Untuck your toes and just give your feet just a nice moving the toes forward and back. Now rotating our ankles in one direction and then in the other direction. There we go. Okay, and we're going to come into our regular tabletop. So either toes tucked or untucked. Just going to move through a few rounds of cat and cow. So inhale, bringing the belly down, opening up your chest and bringing up, tilting up your pelvis. And then exhale, opposite direction. We're curving up the spine and tucking the chin and pelvis. And so then just moving to the rhythm of your own breath. So inhale, we're curving the spine down. Exhale, we're curving the spine up. So as you're finishing your last couple rounds, allow yourself just to flow to the rhythm of your breath. It doesn't have to be a certain pace. Just authentically noticing what feels best to you. And after your last exhale, come back to that neutral tabletop position. And now we're going to turn basically our torso from right to left. So we're staying in the tabletop. And I'm just going to bring my torso towards the right and I'm bringing my head towards the left. And then I'm going to move to the other side. So now I'm bringing my torso, my hips towards the left and my head towards the right. So it's kind of the opposite plane to what we were just doing our cat and cow in. So hips in one direction, head in the other. Head and shoulders in the other. And staying with your breath. Noticing where you're feeling the stretch in your body. The outer hips, I'm really noticing it. And if you feel like you'd like to move your head in a slightly different direction, feel free to do that. All right, and when you're ready, coming back to that neutral tabletop position. And then we're going to cross our feet and just bring the hips back, coming into our seated cross-leg position. Oh, there we go. Time for the socks to come off. There we go. So we're going to do just a little work with our neck and our shoulders here, just to loosen everything up a little bit. So moving through a few neck rolls is letting your hands rest initially on your knees or thighs. Let's take a deep breath in, getting nice and tall on the top of the head. And then exhale, chin down the chest. And then slowly rolling now with an inhale, your left ear towards your left shoulder. And then exhale, chin the chest. Inhale, right ear towards right shoulder. Exhale, chin the chest. So leading with your breath. Continuing with your semicircles with your neck. Listening to your body at all times. So if something's feeling like it's a bit much, go a little bit easier, go a little bit lighter. We don't have to hyperextend anything. There's nothing to achieve here. We're just doing what feels good for our body. I always say with students at schools, like, yoga is not a competitive sport, right? You're just in the moment, in your body, in your space. Doing what is good, feels good to you. That's what yoga is. A big part of what yoga is for me. Very important for my self-care. And that's the main focus. It doesn't really matter what I'm doing. It matters what feels good to you. If it doesn't, then you change it. You always have the power to do that. All right. And when you're ready, on your last exhale, when the chin is back down to chest, take your time and just slowly bring your head back up to neutral. Nice. I'm just going to do a little bit of shoulder shrugs here. I feel like my shoulders could use a little work here. I was working on the computer earlier and everything's a little like this. So inhale, I'm going to use my hands to kind of help lift them, lifting the shoulders up towards the ears, and exhale, drop. Oh, there we go. Inhale up, exhale, drop. Oh, inhale up, exhale, drop. Oh, inhale up and drop. Oh, nice. Oh, already feeling so much better. Okay. Arms out to the sides. Palms are facing up. On the next inhale, let's reach all the way up. Your gaze can go up towards the hands if that feels good. And then exhale, coming into a gentle twist. So the left hand on the right knee, right hand back behind. And the gaze can be back over the right shoulder if that feels good. Finding your breath. Let's go one more deep breath. Exhale, release to center. Nice. And then hands out to the sides. Let's inhale all the way back up again. And then exhale, other side. So right hand onto left knee. Finding your breath. Couple more breaths. Exhale. When you're ready, let's release back to center. There we go. Okay, let's bring those hands out in front. And we're going to come into a standing forward fold. So come up, bring the knees up, and then walking the feet towards the head of the mat. We're going to keep a little bend in the knees. Let your head, let your arms and your back just hang. Breathe. One more deep breath. Inhale, let's halfway lift. Long spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms all the way overhead. And then exhale, hands down through the heart center and down at your sides. Standing in mountain pose, feet about hip distance apart, arms are at your sides, shoulders are rolled open. Deep breath. Inhale, arms all the way overhead. Exhale, hands down through the heart center, down through the midline. Hinge at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Hands down to the mat, stepping the right foot all the way back, lowering down the right knee. Low lunge on the right side. Keeping the front knee stacked over the front ankle. Toes can either be tucked or untucked at the back. When you're ready, inhale, arms all the way up, low lunge. One more breath. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Walking the hands now towards the back knee, we're going to lengthen the front leg, half splits. So getting tall on the fingertips to start. Exhale, when you're ready, hinge at the hips. Flexing the left toes towards you. Drawing that left hip crease back. So if this is a bit much, you can always keep a little bend in the left knee. Find your breath. 2 more breaths, staying present in your experience. allowing whatever is there to be there. And exhale, let's bring a bend to the left knee. We're now going to bring the hands down to the mat, framing the front foot. We're going to step that front foot all the way back. So you can either come through tabletop or coming right into your plank or modified plank. Find your breath. Modified plank with the knees down is also there for you if you need it. Deep breath. Exhale, let's lower down either knees, chest, and chin, or down through chaturanga. Untucking the toes. Inhale, up into cobra. Exhale, down to the mat. Inhale, let's push up through tabletop. Exhale, hips back on the heels in the child's. Keeping the arms a little more activated here. So elbows off the mat. Deep breath. Nice. And then bring yourself back up through tabletop. We're going to tuck the toes and lift hips up into downward facing dog. So take a moment here, paddle out the feet. Hips high, back as long, fingers spread wide. Deep breath. Inhale, up on the balls of the feet. We're going to step now our right foot forward between the hands, lowering down the back left knee. Deep breath. Making sure that front knee is stacked over the front ankle. When you're ready, let's bring the arms all the way up, full low lunge. And lowering now the hands back down. We're going to walk our hands towards that back knee, lengthening the right leg. So coming into our half splits on the other side. So flexing the right toes towards us. Gentle drawing back of the right hip crease. Initially, let's come up on the fingertips. And then exhale, hinging at the hips until you're feeling a nice level of stretch in the back of the right leg, the right calf, the right thighs. Hamstrings, finding your breath. Again, feel free to keep a little bend in that right knee if that feels supportive. Nice. When you're ready, let's come on back up. Bring a bend to that front right knee. And now we're going to step the back foot all the way forward, back into our standing forward fold. Let your spine just hang here. Maybe ragdolling by grabbing opposite elbows. You can let your elbows swing from side to side if that feels good. I'm feeling like I definitely need this stretch today. This cold weather, everything feels really tight. So this is feeling amazing. Exhale, letting the arms release. If you're in ragdoll, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we're going to sweep the arms all the way overhead. And then exhale, hands down through the heart center. Nice. So taking a moment here to reconnect with your breath. Drawing your attention inward, perhaps closing your eyes for a few breaths. Just noticing what's there and allowing it to be there. All right. When you're ready, slowly opening the eyes. Inhale, bring the arms all the way back up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. This time stepping the right foot all the way back, coming into, it looks like initially a high lunge stance, but then we're going to bring that back foot so that the sole of the foot's flat and the toes are dialed at a 45. So coming into a warrior stance. Okay. And when you're ready, You can start by bringing the hands up to the thigh, but eventually opening up into our warrior two. So making sure the front knee is stacked over front ankle. Okay, you're pushing down into that right foot. Shoulders are down. Feeling strongly supported by your legs, finding your breath. And for today, instead of maybe obsessing about all the alignment in this pose, which is very easy to do, there's a lot to kind of lock into. Let's just be present with our experience of how it is right now. So feeling where your body is in space and allowing that to be and just experiencing that. That's okay. Where are you feeling this in your experience right now? One more deep breath. Exhale, let's bring the back hand down to the back leg. Front hand, palm up. Let's bring it up and back, reverse warrior. Gaze can be either up at the top hand or down at the back foot. That's kind of nice on the neck sometimes. Inhale, let's bring the hands back through our warrior two, and then we're going to lengthen the front leg. And feel free to adjust your stance if needed here. We're going to move into our triangle pose. So deep breath in, we're going to shift the hips back, and we're going to slide the arms horizontally forward until we can't anymore. And then we're going to tip into our triangle. So options here, if you have a block under that bottom hand, that's kind of nice. Okay, for me, I'm just going to press right against the outer calf. Okay, arm can be straight up, making sure the chest is open. Gaze can be up at the top hand. Options, of course, we can keep that top hand and as well bottom hand on the hips if that feels better. Okay, gaze can actually be wherever is good on your neck. So whatever you need to do. Finding your breath. One more deep breath. Okay, on the exhale, let's reach that top hand forward and down. Take your time. And then we're going to walk our hands out to the side, and we're going to come into a standing wide leg forward fold. Just keeping our feet both dialed about to 45. Let your head just hang down using your hands for support. Deep breath. Inhale, let's halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Nice. And now we're going to walk our hands to the back of the mat. You're coming now facing the back of the mat. So we're going to move that right foot so the toes are dialed towards the back of the mat. Left foot. Initially, we're on the ball of the left foot. Let's bring that left foot so that it's flat on the mat. So we're coming into that warrior stance now on the other side. Okay, so take a minute, get yourself set up, get that strong foundation. And when you're ready, you can start by bringing the hands up to the thigh or opening all the way up into your warrior two on the other side. Okay, there we go. Deep breath. And again, maybe today, allowing yourself not to obsess over it being absolutely perfect, right? But just allowing it to be what it is, your pose today, your body in this space today, and just noticing what's there. How does it feel? Can you be okay with that? Can you let that be? Let it be enough. One more deep breath. And then exhale, let's bring the back hand down to the back leg. Front palm is up and back, reverse warrior. And again, gaze can be either up at the top hand or down to the back foot, whatever feels good. For my neck today, I'm really enjoying this variation of looking at the back foot. One more deep breath. All right, let's come through our warrior two. We're going to lengthen that front leg. Let's shift the hips back. And then we are going to draw the arms forward and then tipping into our triangle on the other side. So again, the gaze can be up at the top hand, down at the bottom hand, or straight or forward, whatever feels best for you. So really trying to make sure that we keep that a nice open chest, really firing up our core here to keep us centered. One more deep breath. And then on the exhale, let's reach that top hand forward and down, bring a little bend to that right knee for support. And then walking our hands around to the long edge of the mat again, coming back into our standing wide leg pose. And allow yourself to come into a fold here. This time, the option to clasp the hands behind the back and allow your hands to go forward. That feels really good on the shoulders. Forward towards the back of the head. If that feels good. If it doesn't, just leaving the hands down for support. Finding your breath. One more breath. All right, and then bringing the hands to the lower back. You can release the hands down to the mat for support here. And we're just going to walk our hands now towards the front edge of the mat, coming into our standing or our high lunge stance here. And we're going to actually step that back foot forward, coming into a standing forward fold at the head of the mat. When you're ready, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale, let's sweep all the way up. Oh, upward salute. There we go. And then coming into our standing mountain pose. Finding your breath. So just notice in your body right now how you are feeling, all of the effects of everything you've done so far. Notice the space you've created, the energy you've created. But just acknowledge what's there. All right. And we're going to move into a balance pose. I'm trying to think if we've done this one before. I'm not sure. Maybe, but it's been a little while, which is dancer pose. And I really like this one because it can be very, very challenging. And I know myself, I can really judge myself in this pose. So we're working on, releasing that need for things to be perfect. And just to kind of, let's just see where we're at with it in the moment, right? And the nice thing with dancer is there's all kinds of options along the way, right? So just being honest with ourselves about, today, this is where I'm at. So let's give it a go. So to start any balance pose, you want to make sure that all of your focus is on your rooted foot. So we're going to start by rooting our left foot onto the mat. Okay. Arms to start for me are going to be out to the sides. Now you'll notice I'm standing against the wall, and there's a reason for that. So if I find when I start getting into this pose that I need a little more support with the balance, I can just reach out my left hand and give that support to myself, right? So feel free to set yourself up with that support if you need it. So when you're ready, we're going to bring a bend to start with the right knee. So we're just going to start, here's step one, just by bending that right knee. Okay, so see how this feels. Step two, grabbing the top of the right foot with the right hand. Now keeping that right knee pointing downward. Okay. Step three, let's work on bringing the left arm all the way up, keeping the left arm in the shoulder socket. Okay. So here we are, step three. And if this is feeling good and you'd like to move to step four, we're going to push with keeping that knee in line with the hip. We're going to push the top of the right foot into the right hand, and keeping the chest open, we're hinging at the hips. Okay, so it might be just here today. It might be coming a little deeper, right? So totally up to you. Feel it out. Try and find that unmoving point ahead of you, the drishta point, just a little focal point that's not moving to help focus you and center you. And of course, remembering our breath. And again, if you need to reach out, for that little support on the wall, feel free to do that. If you need to back off and come into a slightly different version, feel free to do that. Let's go for a couple more breaths. And then when you're ready, bring yourself all the way back up and then slowly releasing that right foot down. Let's take that deep cleansing breath all the way up and all the way down. There you go. Oh. And then taking a moment here just to bring your attention inward, maybe closing the eyes and noticing if you're giving yourself a bit of a hard time about any aspect of that pose, right? I do this all the time. So it's like, oh, I should have done it. I should have been able, maybe next time. Can you just recognize if that's happening and just take a deep breath? Exhale. Let it be. But like work on letting that go, right? All right. And then once we've acknowledged and let it be, let's move to the other side. So we'll bring all of our attention down to our right foot. I'm going to grip those right toes. All my tension's down there. I am rooted by that right foot. And then when we're ready, bringing a bend to the left knee. Feel that out first. Get centered. Okay. If that's feeling good, you can bring the left hand to the top of the left foot. Okay. And then that's feeling good. Let's bring that right arm all the way up. Keep that right arm in the right socket, shoulder socket. And then if that's feeling steady, keeping the knee in line with that hip, we can work on keep the chest open, hinging forward into our full dancer. So we're pushing that left foot into the left hand. If it's a little shaky, remember that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? We're accepting where we are at. And that might mean we're coming into a different version. Maybe we're here, okay? Okay, a couple more breaths. All right, when you're ready, if you're in that hinged version, bring yourself back up, and then we're going to slowly release back down. Nicely done. Okay, let's give ourselves that deep breath in, arms up, and then exhale, release, arms down. All right. So slowly now, we're going to bring the arms up one more time, upward salute. And then this time, palms together. We're going to bring the hands down through the midline, hinging at the hips, coming down into forward fold. Let's inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Hands down to the mat. We're going to step our right foot all the way back and bringing the right knee down. So we're coming into our low lunge again on the left side. Just making sure that front knee is over the front ankle. Okay, inhale, up on the fingertips. Exhale, let's sink a little deeper, maybe a little deeper than we normally would. Deep breath in and out. And then slowly we can bring ourselves up a little bit. Now we're going to transition by taking the left foot towards the right wrist. Okay, coming into pigeon, and we're going to release the back foot so the top of the back foot's flat on the mat and bring that right leg long. So coming into pigeon on this side. Now, if this really does not feel good for you, remember we always have the supine pigeon version where you're on your back and that left foot is on top of the right knee and hands behind the right knee to guide that left foot towards the chest. So that is a great option, okay? So whatever version you're in, finding your breath. If you're in the full version of pigeon, just with every inhale, drawing the head up. When you're ready, on an exhale, we're going to slowly bring our head and our torso all the way down into our sleeping pigeon. Okay, you can use your hands just as support under the forehead or under your cheek, whatever you prefer. Finding your breath. Now, if you find that left hip is really high up off the ground, you can use a pillow for support under that left hip. That's also a very good idea. This can be a very challenging pose for a lot of people. It's one that we want to try sometimes to push ourselves into in a perfect way, right? Whatever that is. But remember to accept where your body is right now, right? And give yourself the support you need. Finding your breath again. All right, when you're ready, you can slowly guide your torso all the way back up. Final option here in our pigeon, if you want, is to bring a bend to the back knee, a little bit of a shoulder stretch, and bring the left hand on top or right hand on top of the right foot, right? And just you can bring your gaze towards that back foot. And if that really does not feel like it's in your practice today, that's totally fine. So a bit of a quad stretch and a shoulder stretch here. All right, and then we're going to release that pose completely. And we're going to bring our hands down. Let's step that front foot all the way back, coming into either tabletop if you feel that's more supportive, or downward facing dog. Finding your breath. Nice. And on your next inhale, come up on the balls of the feet. This time we're going to step the right foot forward between your hands, lowering down the left knee. So coming into our low lunge on the other side. Inhale, let's come up on the fingertips. Exhale, just hinging the hips or allowing the low lunge to be a little deeper than maybe we normally would. Just sink into it a little bit more. There we go. Just feeling a little extra stretch on the left quad. Then hands down to the mat. We're going to now guide that left foot towards the right foot, towards the left wrist. So slowly coming down on the knee, untucking the back toes, allowing the left leg to slide long down the mat. Hands come under the shoulders. So we're coming into flexing the right foot, coming into our pigeon on the other side. So again, always the option to do the on your back supine version here. Okay. Finding your breath. Inhale. Let's reach to the top of the head up high. One more breath, just like that. And then exhale, allowing ourselves to come all the way down into our sleeping pigeon. Again, you can either rest the forehead or the cheeks on your hands. And if that's a bit too deep, you can always just stay on the elbows, right? Finding your breath. Allowing whatever is there to be there. It's okay. Doesn't have to be a certain way. You don't have to be a certain way. You are enough as you are. You are complete as you are. Breathe into that truth. All right. And when you're ready, you can slowly guide your torso all the way back up. And then bringing option again, not a have to do, to bend the back knee, the left knee, and then you can guide the left hand onto the top of the left foot. So bringing your gaze towards the left foot as we bring a stretch to the left quad. If you prefer to stay in your sleeping pigeon for this part, feel free. Finding your breath. One more breath. Exhale, let's release that left foot all the way down. And then we're going to just come on to that outer right hip. And we're going to swing the left leg forward to meet the right leg. And we're coming into our seated staff pose here. Okay. Flexing both toes towards you. Just make sure your seat is nice and even. Okay, the legs are engaged. Rolling the shoulders up and open. There we go. Inhale, we're going to sweep the arms all the way up. And then exhale, fold. So we're hinging at the hips here. So, you might not be coming into a really deep fold. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be a really deep fold. And you just find your breath. Allow your breath to soften your shape. And if it feels like something you'd like to do, you can definitely come on, sink down a little deeper into your fold. Nice. And then slowly using your hands to guide yourself all the way back up. And now we're slowly going to bring ourselves all the way down into our final Shavasana. My favorite part. So just bring yourself right onto your back. You can allow your arms to come out of your sides, palms facing up. Let your feet roll apart. Get nice and comfortable. Very important. That means a pillow under your head or under your knees. Feel free to do that. Maybe getting yourself a blanket. Set yourself up to be supported and comfortable. And we'll take a deep breath in your nose and out your mouth. Allow yourself just to sink into this final shape. You're noticing anything you're holding on to. Just take another deep breath and see if you can just soften it and let it go as best you can. Give yourself these last few moments to rest. All right, and feel free to just begin deepening your breath. You can bring a little movement back into your fingers and toes. When you're ready, you can slowly guide yourself onto one side for a few more breaths. And then in your own time, you can slowly guide yourself all the way back up into your seated cross-leg position. Leaving your hands just resting on the knees or thighs, your eyes still closed. And I invite you to take a moment and just notice how you're feeling in your space, physically, mentally, and emotionally, allowing it all to be there, just noticing. And bringing one hand, the left hand to the heart, and then the right hand, palm on top of the left. And taking a deep breath in your nose, out your mouth. Bringing your attention now to that heart-centered place. And I invite you to quietly say this affirmation to yourself. I am whole, especially in my imperfections. I accept all parts of me. And feeling that in your heart center. And then just releasing the hands down to your knees or thighs. And slowly opening your eyes. We're going to bring the palms together now, thumbs pressed to the heart center. Taking a moment of gratitude for our practice together today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed it. I really needed this myself. Yeah, until next time, namaste. Take care.